everyone, welcome back. We're going to do another read aloud today. Today's read aloud is for social skills. This story is called Bughead and Me. I'm going to read this story to you. So Miss Mac will read the book and then you can complete the activities on our PowerPoint. Today I will not be doing a separate read for you to read along, but you can always pause the video if you want and read on your own. So get yourself a nice comfy blanket or a pillow. Maybe get on a comfy spot, get a drink, because this is a longer book and I'm going to read it to you. I'm so excited. I love reading to my kids. All right, you ready? Here we go. Bughead and Me by Paul Shipton, illustrated by David Kearney. If you're still getting your pillow and blanket, I'll wait for you. I'll read our title page and we'll pause another moment. Bughead and Me by Paul Shipton, illustrated by David Kearney. So go ahead and take a minute and finish getting your blanket or your pillow and your drink, and we'll get started. Pause the video if you need to. All right, here we go. Bughead and Me. We first saw Bughead in the park. "What's that kid doing over there?" asked James. We looked across to the far field. A boy was sitting alone, staring at the grass. "Let's check it out," grinned James. As usual, we followed. James always decided what we should do. The boy didn't notice us until we were standing right behind him. "What's going on?" asked James. The kid smiled up at us. "I'm watching this beetle." I looked down and saw a small black beetle in the grass. "Ugh, yuck," I said. James glared at me. "What's wrong, Megan?" "Bugs give me the creeps," I shivered. The new kid just stared at the bug. "It came from that tree. It's heading for the bushes." "Not anymore," James grinned. He held one foot over the insect and shouted, "Bye-bye, bug." And he started to lower his foot. "No," shouted the new kid. But I knew James wouldn't listen. He was going to squash that beetle. Luckily, at that moment, the insect opened its wings and flew to safety. James glared at the new kid. "Maybe that bug was a friend of yours," he said. "Come to think of it, you look like a bug." Lee and Paco both laughed. "Don't worry, Bughead," James said. "You'll find lots of other bug friends to play with." Part of me felt sorry for the new kid, but I laughed because the others laughed. The only person not laughing was the new kid. There was a surprise at home later that afternoon. In our kitchen was a woman I didn't know, and there was someone else that I did know. It was Bughead. Mom said, "Megan, this is Mrs. Tyler and her son, Alan. They're our new neighbors." I nodded hello and tried to stop my cheeks from blushing. I was embarrassed. I knew how badly I treated Alan, or Bughead. I knew Bughead recognized me, but he really didn't look angry, just curious. "Why don't you both go out into the backyard," Mom said to Alan and me. So that's how we ended up outside with Alan Taylor, also known as Bughead. I tried to explain about what happened that day. "James isn't so bad," I said. "He just goes too far sometimes." Alan shrugged. "Most people don't like insects. I'm one of them, I said. You should see me when there's a spider in the bathtub. Actually, spiders aren't insects, said Alan. Insects have got just 6 legs, said Alan. It's like bugs. People use the word to mean all insects and spiders, but that's wrong. A bug is just one kind of insect. He sounds pretty smart. So, why do you like bugs? I mean insects, I asked. They're so creepy and, well, weird. That's why I like them, Alan smiled and looked around. Isn't it amazing to think there are thousands of creatures in a yard like this? Alan pointed to a small brown pupa hanging from a plant. I mean, look at this. There's a caterpillar in there, now turning into a butterfly. Of course, I knew caterpillars turn into butterflies, but I never really thought about how amazing this change was. Just think, said Alan. It's not like the small changes we make, like getting taller or getting your hair cut. Caterpillars change their whole bodies into something different. I just smiled and nodded. The next day, James and Lee were in the park. You'll never believe this, I said. My new neighbor is the kid we saw yesterday. Bughead, grinned Lee. His name is Alan, and he's okay, I told them. Oh no, said James. Megan's turning into a bughead too. I felt my cheeks blushing. I hate people teasing me. And I knew James wouldn't stop. That's what he was like when he found something to make fun of. So I joined in. I started laughing about Alan along with them. I knew it was wrong, but I wanted James to stop teasing me. He said he likes bees, but wasps are more beautiful, I told them. They laughed even more. And so I went on. I made fun of all the things Alan had told me. Oh no. She felt so bullied. These 2 boys were being so mean to her, she didn't know what to do. Suddenly, Paco ran up. Yes, who I just saw near the swings. Bughead. What's he doing? Asked James. Watching bugs, of course, replied Paco. There's an ant's nest over there. James had a nasty look in his eye. Let's go, he said, and we marched across the park. This time, Alan saw us coming. He stood up. Hi, Bughead, said James. I see you found some new friends. I felt too guilty to look Alan in the eye. I looked at the lines of ants crisscrossing across the ground instead. Alan stared at James. What do you want? We only want to join in, said James, and he stepped forward. But Alan blocked his path. Out of my way, snarled James. He was taller and heavier than Alan, but Alan did not budge. Not this time, Alan said. Oh, I knew what would happen next. There was going to be a fight. Oops. Nope. We were okay. Then suddenly a splash of color caught my eye. It was a butterfly floating from flower to flower. I watched it for a moment, and that's when a thought hit me. What was I doing here? Why was I still friends with a mean bully like James? My legs trembled, but I made myself step forward. I stood next to Alan and stared at James. Alan's right. Not this time, I said. Is this a joke? James demanded. He looked angry, but confused too. He just stared at us. It seemed to last forever. Then at last, Lee and Paco Then at last James said to Lee and Paco, "Let's leave the bugheads to play with their friends." James stomped off. Lee and Paco followed. It took forever for my heart to stop pounding. Helen smiled at me. "Thanks," he said. I looked at him, and then I looked at the thousands of ants. "Alan Taylor," I said, "you're weird." But I smiled too. Whoop. Alan and I were friends after that. He liked lots of other things besides insects. Well, just as well, I still hate bugs. My mom likes him too. One night at dinner, she said, "I'm glad you and Alan are friends. I didn't think you liked him at first." For some reason, I thought about caterpillars turning into butterflies. Maybe people didn't change their whole bodies, but they could change their minds, couldn't they? Look at all the fun things Alan and Megan did. I think they went to a carnival, they looked at bugs, they watched movies, they played games, they had campouts. That looks like a lot of fun. Dad picked up some lettuce from his plate. "Hey, there's a bug on this," he complained. I grinned. "Actually, Dad, that's an aphid." Ah, an aphid is a type of bug. So it looks like Megan learned some new tricks from her new friend Alan. And most of all, she learned that she could change her mind and it was okay. And that sometimes other people who have different ideas of fun things are just wonderful too. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Make sure you complete your PowerPoint activity because there's a couple of videos in there. Thanks so much for sharing the book with me. Take care. We'll see you again.